All right, we're back in studio, and what a rugby game that was. Wanderers dominating as expected. What a scoreline.
I mean, we spoke about this even before the game started, and
It was always a possibility.
It was always a possibility.
Always on the table.
Always on the table. In a way, as much as I'd hate to say this, but we basically knew they were going to win.
It's hard to feel like, it wasn't particularly predictable, but no one predicts 73 points. You know what I mean? That's a different level of dominance. And it seems like Wanderers has really picked it up since their last game. Not the last game, since the loss against UNAM, because in their last game, they managed to put over 40 points on the board. And that is absolutely impressive. And we'll certainly be looking at those highlights very soon. But before that, let's look at talk about some of the other rugby highlights in the women's games. The Rehoboth Bokkies 7 going down to UNAM Bokkies 66. Another high-scoring game. UNAM Bokkies, to be fair, have been very dominant, very consistent, and they're just carrying on what they started. United 34, Oceans 0. United,
I mean,
that's a solid one.
Honestly speaking, this has been the theme that we've been seeing. It's a recurrent theme, high-scoring games.
Yes, of course, there's still some technical aspects to, tighten up in the women's game. It is still very entertaining. And of course, as a rugby fan, when you're seeing the tries flowing, of course, if they're not flowing towards your team, then, that's a whole different ballgame altogether. Then we're looking at the Reserve League, FNB Rehoboth going down to FNB UNAM. This was 6, UNAM with 36. So UNAM very consistent across the board, trying to make sure that they maintain that dominance. Now Dolphins, we spoke about this, Dolphins Rugby Club. They came out with 7 points with the FNB Kudu's 26.
I mean, hey, it's better than last week. In a way.
in a way it is, of course. They would obviously want to improve on that again. Like we said, they're finding their stride.
They're finding their footing, definitely.
Finding their footing in the league, without a doubt. But for now, let's have a look at the highlights for Wanderers versus Rio Falcon. All right, those highlights are going to come through to you. But as we said, that is a very high-scoring game. 73 points is a difficult one to surmount. It's definitely
difficult. And to be honest, it's devastating, to say the least.
Devastating, yeah. I mean, you'd feel that way, particularly for Rio Falcon, but it is at the beginning of the season. There's a lot of opportunity for one to be able to overcome that over time. But again, this was the full-time score. Wanderers with 73 points to Rehoboth 21. If we can check out those highlights.
Vinnig oor Norkie wat daar wegkom en hy druk sy tweede 3 van hierdie wedstryd. Daar's nie regtige verdedigingslyn in plek gewees daar aan die kant van FNB Rio Falcon nie. Norkie wat dit maklik laat lyk, kort aangegee, 'n kort ingooi voor in die lyn staan nie. Nou is dit Wanderers daarso. Jacques Tron, is dit Tron? Nee, dit was Johan Duisel wat so gewys erop. Was van 'n berg gewees, die ander van Geraldo Beker. Nee, Johan Duisel nou mooi sit hy om daar in die hande van Natikus. Eers regs, dan links, hulle probeer daai gehaping. Dan speel na aan die oorkant toe, probeer hulle nog 'n slag
terug te bring vir die volgende aanvaller wat ook weer deur die lyn sny, André van der Berg. En hierso kom Darius van Solms duik oor onder die pale. 4-3 wat dan binne die eerste halfuur aangeteken word, so die bonuspunt.
So, some highlights. We'll have more for you in the wrap-up show, just a taste of what happened there. But I mean, 73-21 kind of gives you a strong idea
of what happened
over there at Wanderers.
And obviously now it's to just look at the technicalities of the game. What went wrong? What could be improved?
A lot.
I mean, obviously, a lot can be improved.
I mean, you want to be encouraged, and you want to look at the fact that, there's still plenty of games to be played in the season. And, before we, go forward, thank you to our commentators, Andrew Pullman and Danny Boyson, making sure that the game is colored and, expressed in the right manner. But that was the full-time score with Wanderers and Rio Falcon. Let's have a look at the other full-time score. This was the game happening at the Coast. Dolphin 1-0, Kudus 26. Dominance, from Kudus. Of course, we did say, I mean, dominance is a strong word. 26, a lot can happen. You can give a strong fight and you could still have 26 points on you. But what I believe happened particularly in this clash was that, you know, experience paid off. Yes, it was, you know, two hometown teams, but one hometown team has got much more success, which naturally means they're going to have more fans there. But as always, you know, the atmosphere there was incredible to behold. And so we'll see how that one goes. How Dolphins, don't be hard on yourselves. We're not being hard.
We're not being hard on them because, I mean, we understand that, you know, they're obviously not just finding their footing, but their confidence to prove that they belong there and to show what they can actually do. So like you're saying, it's still very early on. A lot can change. A lot can be improved. We might be seeing Dolphins actually do way better.
And for all we know, maybe, you know, as much as they're from the coast, maybe it's the coastal conditions that don't work with you guys. The away games could be working out a whole lot better as long as you're learning from the losses. We're going to take a quick break before we return and go globetrotting.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
More sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindel Kahan.
Sy sê wie hy is dan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
But just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
All right, we'll bring you more from today's rugby action when we head into the wrap-up show at 6:30. Keeping in mind that after the wrap-up show, we're going to be crossing over to some live boxing, jab for jab, hook for hook, happening at the Roman Catholic Hall. This is AC Boxing Promotions. But before we bring you back to the land of the brave, let's branch out a little bit. Let's see what's been going on in the world of sport. We start with some NBA. We don't talk basketball here. Not really.
Not really. You do.
Yeah,
you do.
I try my best. So Yusuf Nurkic split 2 free throws with 8.7 seconds left, and the Phoenix Suns pressured Sacramento's De'Aaron Fox into a late turnover as they produced a vital 108-107 victory over the hosts, the Kings. Now, Kevin Durant scored 28 points, Devin Booker tallied 21, and Bradley Beal had 20 points. The Suns remain 1 game behind the New Orleans Pelicans for the 6th and final automatic playoff berth. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to break it down for you guys.
Break it down for us, please.
I'll do my best to break it down now. The player that's playing for the Suns in particular, the main player is Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant was a player who was having issues winning a championship, and in the basketball world, the championship is the only time you really get some respect. And he managed to win one with the famous Steph Curry. We all know Steph Curry is very, very easy to recognize. And then after that, people felt like he didn't win any championship without literally the best shooter ever, i.e. Steph Curry. And he's been struggling since then. He went to the Brooklyn Nets, and then in the Brooklyn Nets, they didn't manage to go further than the second round in the playoffs. So now he is at the Phoenix Suns, and at the Phoenix Suns, he is with Bradley Beal. The one you see on the screen was transferred from Washington Wizards. And the idea right now is, can they make a run for it? It's almost time for the playoffs, and it would be absolutely a shame for a player of Kevin Durant's caliber. This is a person who's considered as part of the top 20 best basketball players of all time. If they don't make the playoffs, it could be how people decide to sign off his legacy.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh, that
quite
is
interesting.
That is quite interesting, but it's also quite heartbreaking to see that he's been struggling.
Absolutely. I mean, look, he had an ACL injury, and he was knocked out for a period of time. And of course, you know, the recovery from that time is always so difficult. It takes time, and sometimes you don't come back as the same player. Now, there is a player who, in spite of his age, is doing quite all right, and that is LeBron James, who poured 37 points, and Anthony Davis added 36, as Los Angeles Lakers held off the Memphis Grizzlies for 123-120 win. With the victory, Los Angeles jumped into the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Now, the Lakers, Warriors, and Kings all entered the day at 45-35. Sacramento and Golden State, however, both lost later on Friday to sit one game back. So LeBron James, the oldest player in the league, right, is looking like once you clinch the 8th seed, you get an opportunity to play the 7th seed in what is known as a play-in, which ultimately allows you to get into the playoffs, and that's what this whole game is about. So just 2 nights ago, the Lakers were nowhere near that reality. Of course, another LeBron James game came through, but how long can they depend on, you know, 38-year-old legs?
Exactly,
it's one of those where the world is watching him. He's doing incredible things, but you're kind of feeling, you know that he's in a battle with Father Time.
Yes.
And it's really trying to figure out, can he jump back? Can he make it work? We were talking about Tiger Woods earlier. His battle with Father Time continues. We thought he had lost the battle, but I mean, with golf,
he definitely came back. You know what? As you're speaking about age, my mind keeps running back to Kevin Durant. Like, how long does he have before he has to?
I mean, look, he's got 2 championships, like I said, but the idea was those championships were with a stacked team. In fact, it's 1 championship, if I'm not mistaken. How much time does he have? Not much time. What LeBron James is doing is considered an anomaly. Yes, some players have played until that age, but they haven't managed to play at that level. So if you're going to look for a cross-reference, perhaps in football, you might look at some of the older players, you know, the guys who play for really long, like Pirlo, those guys. If you look at the way he takes care of himself, you would look at Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes.
That's where you would see that discipline, that age isn't really their concern. They are just going to stretch out their talent for as long as possible.
And
so
even with Messi, since we're on the topic of football, because we've been saying, like, you know, everyone was saying the previous World Cup was going to be his last World Cup, but with the way things are going, we could actually see him at the next World Cup.
But you know,
we could. It's a possibility.
Well in Miami, Mr. Messi. I mean, it's hard to ask him to search for something else. He has everything.
He has everything. What do you give someone who has everything?
And that's the difference with Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo does not have a World Cup. LeBron James has got 4 championships. The ghost he's been chasing is that of Michael Jordan, who has 6. And so, you feel me? So, you know, for some of these guys, they've got some really big legacy marks that they want to hit before they call it a day.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how much further he could, you know, keep his eye on the dream.
We're all just watching it. People thought he'd be done. He comes back, has the most highest points tally of all time. So we're all checking him out and seeing what happens. I mean, look, you look at someone like me. I've got my LeBron James sneakers in 2003. That's when I started supporting the guy. And I assumed I had a good 10 years, maybe 15.
No, he proved you wrong.
20 years. The guy is coming through. And we spoke last week about how his child is going to be swinging into the league as well. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to take a quick break because, you know, the Premier League is happening and we got to talk about it.
All right, now of course the Premier League is happening as we speak. Literally.
Stay to the rugby. Don't
switch over.
Either way, you know, what I mean? We've got a lot going on over here. But let's look at how the table looks right now in the English Premier League. Manchester City set to win that game against Luton, 2-0 leading. Brentford 1-0 against Sheffield United. Nottingham Forest and Wolves 2-2. Very interesting one there. Burnley and Brighton. You'd expect Brighton to be doing better after last week's defeat. Let's see what they can pull off with Burnley. Of course, Burnley is at home. So those are the Premier League games that are going on, but there is some Premier League news that we can talk about, Diana.
There's some very interesting Premier League news. All right, so we know Chelsea has been struggling. And now it seems like they're not just struggling to maintain or actually do better in the league, right? So actually Chelsea has sold a hotel to prevent points deduction amid financial crisis. According to the Daily Mail, Chelsea had to sell their hotel to Blue Co, led by Todd Boehly and Clear Lake, to adhere to the Premier League's financial regulations. While the league permits clubs to incur losses of up to £105 million annually, Chelsea's current deficit stands at £249 million. To alleviate the financial strain, the club plans to offload a significant number of players, particularly homegrown talents. Now, this strategy aims to generate substantial profits and mitigate the risk of facing severe penalties akin to those imposed on Everton and Nottingham Forest. Notably, selling homegrown players contributes directly to the club's profit margin, prompting speculation about the future of Lewis Hall, Armando Broja, Conor Gallagher, and even Captain Reece James. Chelsea confronts a daunting task of addressing their financial woes while enduring an extended period of uncertainty regarding potential sanctions. Presently occupying 9th place in the Premier League, the team is unlikely to secure European qualification, which could have eased some of the financial strain.
That was so unnecessary to add. So unnecessary to add. Of course, they're not going to be playing European football. Oh, come on. I mean,
in 9th position.
It's like, oh, it's going to be difficult. No, they were not expecting it. I think they gave up on that a while ago. But it is a little interesting to see because they want to prevent points deduction. What did you do, Chelsea?
Hey, we've been seeing the team struggling.
Manchester City, that's over 115 charges. Still waiting to see how that transpires. We've been watching Everton have points chipped away at them every single weekend. And it's very interesting. I saw in the House of Commons, which is the UK Parliament, they were talking about creating a ministry for football, if I'm not mistaken, football regulators body, which is outside of the FA itself. I guess I feel like they're sniffing some shady deals.
Of course. I mean, hey, like you're saying, we take a look at the Manchester City scandal. We know that there's shady business going on. It's undeniable.
I don't want to say it. Because if I say it, it sounds like I'm just being an Arsenal guy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so Chelsea's finding itself in this position. And of course, Chelsea has been making what other football analysts would say. I said other. I just made myself a football analyst. Roll with it. What other football analysts are saying that with regards to Chelsea, that it's unlikely that they get over this situation because they made a bunch of bad deals.
Definitely.
And those deals, some of them stretched to 8 years. I don't know what the model was. I know they were offset by the Russia and Ukraine war, and then their owner had to sell, or Chelsea was taken. Bottom line is the management of the club, the flow of the club, of what it means is certainly in disarray, and we're going to be interested in seeing how that goes. Now another club.
Sorry to cut you, but like also sticking with the bad financial, not even financial, bad decisions. We saw at the last transfer window, they were just recklessly spending.
Yes.
It was just a reckless spending. There didn't seem to be a strategy at all. And now we can actually see in the results being 9th on the table.
What I would like to say though to Chelsea is thank you for Kai Havertz. I don't know how we can thank you. You know what I mean? It's
hey, a win is a win. Maybe not for Chelsea, but
maybe not for Chelsea. But another club which is seemingly facing woes right now is Manchester United. Not financially. I don't know. Is it financial? They've been wanting to change owners for a long time.
I think financial can be one of those.
Manchester United is like a rich kid, right?
Yeah.
Who's like the parents are split and the other parent is like rich. And the only decision they're making is like, who can I be with? Like, they're using the parents' wealth to determine whether or not it's good parenting.
Yes.
You know, and they have actually always been in the top 3 of spenders in the world for years and years right now. And they've been wanting to change ownership because you look at Gary Neville talking, he feels like it trickles down from the Glazers. But I mean, I don't know, because then what does the manager do? They used to call them coaches, but they call them managers for a reason.
The problem is, I kept saying, or rather blaming Ten Hag. And then you came in, you jumped in, you said, listen, let's not blame Ten Hag necessarily.
We can always blame
necessarily, and you were saying it also just goes back to the management,
The management,
the owners.
The owners, yeah. I mean, look, the owners, yes, but I feel like the management is a different thing. And yes, of course, the owners may be the ones who decide how long that leash is. But Ten Hag came through and he got the freedom to fire Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know how much more, you know what I mean? What manager gets that kind of power? I don't know if any other manager would have gotten that kind of power at any club. So for me to be told now that Ten Hag is not in control is very interesting. But he is concerned about Manchester United's defense. He feels like right now that their defensive crisis has impacted the season. You have to give them credit. Mino popped out, solid player. Hollywood, not as consistent as they would like him to be, but always aggressive. And some of the other players like Anthony are starting to show, signs of why they got signed. Of course, they are trying to get rid of Casemiro now. That was a bad deal.
That definitely was a bad deal. But you know what? In a way, I could kind of understand what they saw in him. But then unfortunately, right now, he's just not proving to be the Casemiro that they actually need on the pitch.
Yes, that's true. And with regards to the defense, Ten Hag had some words.
Difficult. And so everyone who has a little bit knowledge about football, they know it will affect your results, your performance and your results. So back four is always a foundation to get in the results. And we didn't have that. But then still we have to win. And we know that. And so then others has to take the responsibility. But when you oversee it, then you know also, it has a negative impact. So we were always happy with Harry Maguire. But he wants to play. And he's a great leader. He's a very good defender. So very comfortable on the ball. And when I count all those abilities, just now when we are in our defending line, we have our problems, then he's even more important to lead that line, to make us play from the back. So we are very pleased he's there, and we need him to get our results and to achieve our targets. And we were mentally not ready for that game. And they battled us and we lost the battles. And tomorrow will not different. That is the way they play. So they want to fight with you. And so it's about make sure you go in that fight and you have the convincement and you have the belief, and you need to support each other to win the battles. To outplay them, to outrun them, and in defending to match the runs. But then, of course, you have to bring the win over the line, and we should act in such moments. We should act better, and it's not about organization, but it has to do with individual tactical mistakes, sometimes technical. It was not out of open play. But we have to manage such situations better.
There's no question. We know that this time of year it's tough.
Excuses.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but come on, man. Come on.
But hey, this is a trend in football, right?
Whoa, don't say in football.
Okay,
in Manchester
okay.
United football.
Manchester United, but then we also saw last week, who was it that was complaining that his teammates aren't actually doing what Benzema, yeah.
He was fine. Yeah, but I mean, Ten Hag, Benzema, look, you're always going to get a diva football player. Ask Manchester about Pogba, that happens. But when it comes to a manager, even if the reasons are valid, I don't want to hear it, man. I just don't want to hear it. I want to know what our strategy is. And every single time, it always feels like he's just building an inbuilt excuse for whatever losses may come. And it's like, just have a strategy, work with what you have, and just stop making excuses, Ten Hag.
And to be fair, we have given Ten Hag plenty of time to correct his mistakes too, because at first we could excuse and say, okay, you know what, he's just finding his footing, because we love to use that excuse a lot.
It's an interesting excuse.
We love to use it.
Do you know where that excuse flies out from? Arsenal is Arteta's first job.
Whoa.
That's where it flies out from. Because Ten Hag was a coach of Ajax, if I'm not mistaken. He was a successful coach with years behind him, and he was given the biggest Premier League, the biggest club, and I'm not even saying like football club. Manchester United is the biggest club of all clubs. Girl Scouts, or whatever clubs that you are a part of. Manchester United, I don't care what it is. They're the biggest thing that you can get, of course. And I mean, you get there, you fire Cristiano Ronaldo. Nothing says to me strategy more than that. I'm like, wow, the guy is so serious.
He's brave. He was very brave.
And maybe fired is a strong word. Some things may have been said in exchange and stuff, things which ended up being true. But the main thing is you come and you do such an assertive thing. And of course, you look at last week, and this is actually what's really worrying for me, because last week's game against Liverpool would not, I don't know, it's not supposed to be a train smash. Yes, you are at Old Trafford, you're not playing at your best. Liverpool are currently contenders, you are not, and you're managing to stop them at 2-2. They didn't even need to score that other goal if you had, kept things locked down. Of course, Manchester United has been having trouble, particularly in the last minutes of any game. So I look at that, but I'm expecting more positive messages. I'm not expecting excuses. You know what I'm saying? The man on that screen over there, Maguire, he didn't make excuses. And how long did he get dragged?
Maguire has been getting dragged.
And now it stopped. He's on the other side of it. You know what I mean? People are just seeing his consistency. They're seeing that he is a valuable player where he is, and he was just not working in a system that
when
worked
he wants
for him.
to be.
But Ten Hag needs to get it together. So what's the story with Casemiro?
Okay, so the thing with Casemiro is it's been no surprise that he's been struggling, right? So now there are a few contenders, 8 to be specific, who could replace him. So as I just find that story, because it seems I have lost it. So if we can just come back to Casemiro.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Casemiro while you find the story. Look, replacing Casemiro should not be difficult. It is a logical thing to do because it was a bad deal to begin with. What you were doing was you were gambling with someone who was just over the peak of their prime. And you were just hoping to get a couple of seasons from them. You know what I mean? And actually, you would say that getting Casemiro is you saying, we want to win now. At that time, we're talking Madrid Casemiro, right? But it's not the same guy we went to England, and you need the legs. Have you seen Foden? You can't have Casemiro dealing with people like Foden and Saka. And that's why last week he had that very unnecessary free kick. The pace is too much for him. And this is not to say this is not an incredible elite player. This just happens to be a player that is past his prime.
And I'm glad you're saying that, because actually most of the contenders really are under the age of 25.
Yes.
Right. So first of all, we actually have João Neves from Benfica, and it's reported that the 19-year-old could actually end up going to Manchester United because Man U have actually set aside 100 million euros.
Do you see what I mean? When Manchester United keeps talking about, okay, our issue is we need to get a richer owner. You can set aside 100 million euros. Okay, please continue.
All right. Next is Amadou Onana from Everton.
Fair enough.
Yes, so they were heavily linked with the 22-year-old, and now, so initially he joined Everton from Lille for 23 million.
He's going to cost more.
He is definitely going to cost more. Guess how much they're willing to pay for him? Wild guess.
I mean, if Neves is 100, it's got to be between 80 and 90.
No.
What?
52 million.
So just double that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they get that deal in that manner. I mean, yeah, that's what they're willing to pay for him, but I don't know if that's the price tag.
You know, it's definitely one of those things where I don't think it's set in stone. It's just a possibility. I don't think they're particularly too serious about him.
Well, the reason I mean, I'll give you my take on their transfers, but please tell me more about the defenders.
Next, because we've been seeing Leverkusen doing the most.
Of course.
Yes, so they're eyeing Palacios, who has actually been the unsung hero behind Leverkusen's success, forging a fearsome partnership with Xhaka in front of the defense. Now, the 25-year-old is set or reported to want to transfer to Manchester United, and they could get him for a bargain of £34 million.
I don't know if he leaves. He's 25 years old. This weekend, he might feel what it feels like to win the Bundesliga, which no one can relate to except for Bayern Munich, at least for a very, 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 very long time. I just feel like and also, I mean, at this stage, Manchester United has to sell aura. If you're trying to get elite players, you're not selling record. You're not selling European football. Let's get that out of the way. If you're to join Manchester United right now, you're not playing in the Champions League next year. So you're waiting for 2026 for you to be able to play European football. I mean, I was talking to Brian Monango, kudos Brian, Sportwrap team leader, and Brian was saying that if Manchester United could get Vinicius Jr., I say, sir,
come on.
Sir. I understood what he meant when he says how it tactically can work.
Tactically could work, but do you actually see Vinicius leaving?
Who's leaving Madrid? Because of course, look, they're expecting a domino effect from Kylian Mbappe leaving France, heading, you know what I mean? And then it's like, the Madrid players are going to be like, Madrid knows how to deal with egos. That is not Manchester United. They know how to deal with egos. That's not an issue. And they've dealt with the egos that you failed to deal with. But again, look, if we're talking about even Manchester United's last year, I can kind of picture Vinicius Jr. coming through because they did enter the Champions League regardless of their exit. And the Manchester United aura is huge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of these Spanish players, Italian players, Brazilian players keep getting told, you can't do what you're doing in the UK. You can't do that in the Premier League. The defense is stronger. The game is very different. It's not so flowy and fast moving. There's a lot of stops and starts. In Manchester United's case, though, what Brian was mentioning, and Brian was absolutely right on this, was that he fits into Manchester United's attacking style, which is ultimately counter-attack.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to counter-attack with Vinicius Jr., incredible. But there's no way he's leaving Jude Bellingham and the opportunity to play with Mbappe.
And honestly speaking as well, it's not just about what he can do. Because again, remember, there is that saying in sport that you're only as good as your teammates. So he would definitely need the help. Like, he can definitely help the team.
I don't think he's in that stage. He's young. He's not at the stage where he wants to carry and pull the team, like, you know, what we're saying LeBron James has to do at the age of 38. That's not what he has to do right now. Like, he just wants to play his position and win trophies. That's what matters right now. It's not going to be anything sentimental. I mean, of course, like I'm saying, if Manchester United can get its acts together, they can sell aura. But a lot of the footballers, the elite footballers right now, guess who they looked up to? Cristiano Ronaldo. And Manchester United is only going to find out in this transfer period what that actually means, because players care about how other players are treated. And a lot of players were in agreement with what Cristiano was saying about Manchester United. But like I said, Vinicius Jr., it's not a real thing on the table. But it is a real thing.
It's speculation, yeah.
Sportwrap is
putting it out there.
That's the news from Sportwrap.
Yeah. But also, like you're saying, just to bring it back to him not wanting to carry the team, we've seen what that does to a player. I mean, look at the prime example of Neymar. Right? When he moved to PSG, there was that huge expectation that he was going to carry PSG. He was going to win PSG the Champions League and all of that. And he crumbled under the pressure.
It was, I mean, pressure, dominance. I don't know what he could do with the teams he was facing at that point in time. And PSG was, you know, a place where they were getting the names together, but they weren't necessarily fixing the structure in such a way that those people can prosper. And you remember the tensions after the World Cup. It was very interesting to see.
There was a lot of tension. Even just after that beef that him and Mbappe started having. Just now I was reading a story of how he was pulling up to practice drunk.
Who?
Neymar. He was pulling up to practice drunk. He was picking fights with his teammates. It was just messy.
I have to say the picture that Oscar put up there is actually just really working. I know it's a celebration.
He's known as a party boy. Come on.
I mean, I saw what that said. You know, he had his prime, and his prime was incredible.
Yes.
And I mean, even his inspiration, Rafinha was doing the Messi celebration this week as he was scoring against PSG and Neymar. Sorry, and Neymar actually, you know, was like, "Hey, kudos, man." Of course, you know him and PSG. It's not working out that way. So Premier League has been going on. Let's check out how the log looks, or at least the results, because it is looking tight at the top. If I'm not mistaken, Manchester City is sitting at the top. That is 4-1 against Luton. My goodness.
In a short space of time.
Short space of time. So Manchester City on top of the log with 2 points. Arsenal will play a little later. And we'll get some words from Mikel Arteta's press conference when we head into the wrap-up show, Talking Sunday Drop. But that means right now, this is the log. Manchester City at the top, followed by Arsenal. Liverpool closely behind. Liverpool and Arsenal only separated by goal difference. Then you have a bit of a distance there between Liverpool and Aston Villa. We're talking 10 points. Aston Villa sitting on 60 points along with Tottenham. Aston Villa will be facing Arsenal at Arsenal today, and Tottenham are currently licking their wounds after a 4-0 defeat.
That was embarrassing.
From Newcastle.
That was embarrassing.
I remember that the narrative was that Tottenham are going to be the deciders of the league, and it's not looking. That's actually not what it's giving.
But you know what is interesting though, is the fact that I remember last week when you said to me, when you asked me, who is your money on taking the title? And I was like, confidently, I said Manchester United. And you corrected me, and you're like, no. Arsenal. Chelsea, where is this coming from?
No.
Arsenal, right?
Manchester City, you said, I think.
I said Manchester City, and you said Arsenal.
Yeah, I wouldn't say confidently.
Yes, but the thing is, it's looking very much like it can be anyone's game.
That's what I wanted.
Yes.
You see, that's what I wanted. I didn't expect anyone to say Arsenal's going to win, but I expect you to not know because we don't know. It's a different season altogether. Some folks will say that Arsenal has been disappointing, you know, when it comes to title league races. You're right. I'm not going to lie to you. That's correct. But did we have the best defender in the league? He was injured, Saliba. He's back right now. Haaland has not scored against him. By the way, Haaland scored against Luton. Sorry, Haaland. We were throwing you shade.
He made an appearance. He made an appearance, okay?
Albeit against Luton Town. You know, so
an appearance is an appearance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't score against Madrid. You score against Luton. We have to give you some credit, but not substantial credit. But what I'm saying right now is, it's okay to not know. And of course, I know the prospect of Arsenal winning irks a lot of people in the league because Arsenal fans are like me, overbearing, annoying, emotional, and just unrelenting.
Noisy.
We're not as noisy as
Very
Manchester United. We can all agree on that part. But like I said, the league race, I wouldn't say it's wide open.
Yeah.
But with these three teams, what's really separating them right now is going to come down to who they're facing. And Liverpool has the best games.
But I was also going to say that I feel like it's all about who's been showing consistency during the league. And I think from the top three teams, Arsenal have been consistent in how they perform. So has, in a way, Manchester City as well. Kind of.
I've never heard you speak like this about
Listen,
Arsenal. This is what I need to hear. This is thank you. Thank you.
I have to admit, as much as it breaks my heart, because, hey, to be fair, Manchester United is not doing anything for me right now. So I do have to give credit where it's due. Arsenal has been one of the most consistent teams this season.
Absolutely. And of course, you look in there, Bukayo Saka scoring his first Champions League goal. Would you believe that this week, the first goal for Arsenal in this year's tournament? They're going to be asking for a whole lot more from Jesus. You're looking at the other players there. Vieira, not a starter. Nelson, not a starter. Emil Smith-Rowe, not a starter. But Jesus and Saka are being expected to carry Arsenal through as Arsenal faces Aston Villa.
What are your predictions there?
Wow. You see the hands that Jesus has up there?
Yeah.
He's got 2, Arteta's got 1 up. I'm calling it 3-0.
Jeez.
Yeah, Saka's pout is the 0. So that's 3-0.
Oh my goodness.
I'm calling it 3-0. But anything can happen. Look, Aston Villa now has something to fight for, which is to be in the top 4. They're currently sitting on top of Tottenham after Tottenham lost to Newcastle. So Villa is definitely going to take us very seriously. You want to say home ground advantage to a point. At the Emirates, to a point, you have to say. But really, at this stage of the season, you don't know people's motivations. You know what I mean? Look, entering, and these are the things I like to think about. Entering the European leagues, the European Cups, means more money.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, getting relegated, now think about the relegation teams. Why it's so important to not hinge yourself on a particular team right now is because the relegated teams, some of them, you're telling those guys, they're not going to be able to afford their lifestyles. So the way they're going to play you,
you know, they're holding on, they're fighting to not get relegated.
It's not even about you. It really comes down to what they're trying to do. But that's the game that's going to be happening a little later, Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Like we said, we're going to get some words from Arteta. That's going to be in the wrap-up show, though. And Arteta giving praise to Unai Emery. Understandably so. He's, Emery has played all over the world. And Arteta's a respectful guy. I think so. It's just the refs. It's just the refs that don't get along with it. But let's talk about City. It would be amiss if we don't talk about City because they are the reigning champions. And we have to give them their due. And their due is this. We are saying that Haaland is losing form. Well, we were saying that earlier, 4-1.
But again, he's not consistent.
But the problem is, this is the problem. He doesn't have to be. And that's how good City is. The options are there. City can take off 11 players, put 11 players and compete. You know what I mean? And so it's impossible to be able to fully count Manchester City out. Yes, they beat Luton Town 4-1, but Luton Town has been giving a lot of teams a lot of trouble. Liverpool even had to scrape for their win against Luton Town. So ultimately, you have to give them their credit. And I don't know, if you have to say most likely to win based on the tools they have, it's always supposed to be Manchester City.
Yeah, definitely.
And if anyone else wins, I also want their success to be celebrated on that backdrop, which is you went over against a mammoth. I believe Arsenal finished the season with 92 points last year, and that wasn't enough. Can you believe that? Because
City is just that team. Like you're saying, regardless of whether or not Haaland is in. But for me, it's not about, oh, City is just a team, it needs to be without Haaland. For me, I still need to see him in the game. I still need to see him perform. I still need to see why Haaland is Haaland. Yes. You get what I'm saying? Because when he performs, he absolutely does brilliantly.
I mean, if you see that goal that he scored against Luton,
you know? But then again, the consistency from him
and the consistency in big games.
Yes.
And perhaps that's where people are with regards to this year. I mean, you're going to be able to bully Luton. We expect that from you. I'm looking at that squad. I mean, come on. Where's the weakness? It's just not there.
It's not there.
I mean, Doku's not even in that frame, and he's an incredible player. It's a strong squad. There's no reason for them to not win the Premier League, except something extraordinary happening. Because what has to happen now is we have to ask this squad to lose to a team that they've probably bullied for the last 5 years.
Exactly. So now my question comes, where is your money at right now? Is it still on Arsenal?
It has to be only because of, my
5-1.
goodness.
Jeez.
So that's the full-time score, 5-1. Haaland, yikes, he scored
was
a penalty, but
Mm-hmm.
it was the first goal was an own goal, which assisted him there. I was talking about Jeremy Doku just now, punishing them, and you see there Guardiola coming through. I mean, Manchester City is not resting. Of course, kudos to Luton for getting one in through Ross Barkley, and actually given the distance between these two teams, you can kind of, you can understand, you can give them a little bit of credit. But five means Manchester City is back.
Manchester City is definitely back because, again, I think just that split drop in a way shook them up a bit. They're like, no, we cannot. We're the defending champions. So now they're starting to play like the defending champions that they are.
Do you think this is Madrid's work? I mean, because City looked shook. At the Bernabeu this weekend. Was it Bernabeu?
Yes, it was.
They looked very shook, when that game came through. It was almost like it didn't. I mean, but they knew it was Madrid, and Madrid at the Champions League is as good gets.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're not going to find many slip-ups. You're not going to deal with many mistakes. But 5-1 against Luton Town is domination. Cannot disrespect that at all. They are at the top of the Premier League. And now it's for Arsenal to respond. Liverpool will have an opportunity to respond tomorrow.
I'm sorry, my confidence for Liverpool is out the window. It's gone. It's gone. To be honest,
I can't let you take it that
to
far.
be honest,
But
for me,
let's remember there are a couple of things are at play here, right? Mohamed Salah's there. No one can actually defend him. That's a real thing.
Yes.
Yes, of course he doesn't have much help. Nunes is there. Does Nunes defend himself? Yeah, sure. But when he doesn't defend himself, he occasionally scores, and he's always a potent threat. That's just how I feel about Liverpool. You can't count out their strike force. They do have some issues in the midfield, but you look at Szoboszlai, and you're talking about some real sturdiness. McAllister, you're talking about something that you can really trust. Defense, Virgil van Dijk, every single time, always in the top 10 defenders in the world, without a doubt, usually in the top 2, actually. So I can't count them out because of that, but mainly because Klopp, it's his last season. It's his last hurrah. And this isn't just any,
he needs to go out with the bang.
Club. I mean, they love Klopp. They love. He's right up there with most loved Liverpool coaches. With the folks like Rafael Benitez. I would argue they love Klopp more. Klopp managed to give Liverpool a new DNA, or at least enhance Liverpool's DNA. And so playing for him could give this title race a different injection with regards to Liverpool's potency. But I just feel like you look at those guys, anyone in the world on any day they can take them on. As to their form, that's where the question is.
It's very questionable because, I mean, from seeing the game that they played against Manchester United, the fact that if it wasn't for that penalty, they, to be honest, were probably going to lose.
Yeah. I have to say it certainly looks that way. And if you looked at Klopp's comments after that, he was asked about how much of a difference Manchester United can make in the title race when they face Arsenal. And Klopp was very straight up. He said that if Manchester played that way, Arsenal would have won, which means he felt that Liverpool should have won.
Exactly.
That it was their game to lose, even at Old Trafford. Now, of course, fast forward to midweek, Liverpool faces Atalanta from UEFA Champions League. They have about 20 shots attempt in the first half, so we can already throw out of the window that they don't want to win the game. And then they lose 3-0. I mean, look, the talent is there, but something is just not clicking.
Yes, there's definitely a disconnect.
Trent Alexander-Arnold also not being around, we have to admit, one of their best players is certainly a dent.
Well, yes, there is that as well. But then also, I feel like the disconnect, I don't know if it's between Klopp and the players or amongst the players themselves, but there's some sort of disconnect. And at this point, Liverpool cannot afford any mistakes or any slip-ups.
Any more
slip-ups, because that could literally just cost them the race.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about the boxing clash that's going to be happening this evening, just before we head into the wrap-up show.
Now, of course, the boxing is taking place 7 p.m. tonight at the Roman Catholic. And honestly speaking, it's promising to be exciting.
Oh, yes, indeed.
So you had a chat with Ims Moses earlier on.
I did have a chat with Ims Moses. We went into the details of everything happening tonight. Here is that conversation. All right, it's time for us to talk to Mr. Ims Moses himself about AC Boxing Promotions' latest event, which is going to be on this evening. Mr. Ims.
What's going on, man?
It's good. You have another one for us, another exciting evening. I believe it's 7 bouts we're expecting.
Yeah, of course, this is the first fight of the year, and I'm proud to be a promoter of the year also, and as well as trainer of the year. We just got that award.
Oh, congratulations.
And of course, we will be the first promoter also to stage a fight 2024.
Wow.
So things going really well and smooth, and I'm really happy to partner with NTV. So it's a great platform, and it's been giving us all the, making sure that the public get to know what is happening in the sport of boxing.
And it truly is exciting. So let's talk a bit about some of the fights before we talk about the main bout. Who are some of the fighters we can expect to strap
tonight
up?
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be action pack, and of course it's upcoming boxes. We have all our prospects also on board, and we're trying to make sure that tonight people must be able to have a reason to come back to the next event.
Yes, indeed.
So we have a main attraction guy who is Ruan Respel from Okahanja.
Okay.
He's gonna fight over 4 rounds. So Ruan been making some noise in the sport of boxing professional ever since he turned pro, and he's very young, only 22 years old.
Wow.
And that's actually what makes AC Boxing Promotion more unique, because we have more youngsters. And Ruan, and we have also Robert Darerwa, who also gonna appear tonight. And of course, we expect a good fight, because his last fight he won by first round knockout.
Whoa.
And we're trying to get him another opponent that is a bit competitive, so we can see how far he can take this one out as well.
All right.
And of course, there will be a comeback fight for Walter Executioner Kautondokwa versus Simeon Shafodino. If you look, Walter is an experienced fighter. He didn't fight for the past 2-3 years.
Wow.
So he took a break, and then he went to the US, came back, and of course then he joined AC Promotion. So I'm trying to get him back, and because he's really very high rated in the world, and he challenged for the world title WBO against Dimitrios Adret, who just lost to Benavides, David Benavides. So you can really see the class where Walter Kautondokwa have been competing. So now we just need to get him a comeback fight, and he's back.
And he's back into it. Yeah.
And on top of that, we have Hafeni Ngeshea, who was supposed to fight in Botswana this weekend. So the fight was, he was supposed to fight tonight in Botswana. But that fight was postponed on Monday. So then we just say, okay, because it's the same date.
And he's been preparing.
So let's get him somebody. Then we talk to other promoters and other matchmakers, and then we match him. So he's fighting tonight versus Nicanor Arwendo.
All right, sounds exciting. And our main bout.
And then we have Pacquiao. Pacquiao is William Pacquiao. His full name is Johannes Andreas. He's also going to be in the ring tonight. He's going to fight over 4 rounds with Tobias Vernel. Vernel have 2 fights, undefeated. So it's going to be in a competitive fight. So we are expecting a very good card tonight. And of course, we also have the dog King TD going to perform tonight, and as well as a lady called Shaya. She's just making some move in the music industry. And like we said before, AC Promotion is all about giving opportunity and development. So King TD is a legend.
Established, so but now you're bringing in Shaya as well.
Now imagine Shaya performing on the same stage with King TV. So that's how sport all about, and that's how entertainment all about.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you have us excited to watch the bouts. How do you feel the fighters feel right now? Of course, they're strapping up. They're getting last-minute advice from their coaches. Is it usually as tense as it looks on TV?
Yeah, for sure, because these kids, they've been preparing ever since December. And you see, professional boxing is growing in the country. So that's why we need more money to make sure that we don't allow these youngsters to just hang around in the street and abuse alcohol.
Wasted potential.
And becoming just, so we actually changing life. And these kids, they are very serious when it's come to fight. So they've been working very hard. So we've been training in rain, because AC Boxing Gym, we still don't have a roof. And this event is actually more of raising funds, so we can put the roof on top of the gym. And these youngsters, they've been training. Even when it's raining, they've been training. So that's how ready they are. That's how hungry they are. And we are looking forward tonight, and I can't wait And I know that everybody's getting ready now to come, so we can see the real boxing.
The real boxing. You know, you mentioned the rain, you know, it reminds us of those films we used to enjoy. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Rambo, all of them at some point were training in the rain, and it shows an extra level of commitment, and we really hope that AC Boxing Promotions gets the support that it deserves. Is Special One strapping up this?
Yes, Special One is the main event. So he's fighting Jeremiah Mhere. Jeremiah Mhere, he have a very good record. He won his last 6 fights.
Wow.
And that's what's more important, because you look at the box rec and you look how active the fighter is, and he just fought, I think, 2 weeks ago. So he been active. So he's somebody who's really ready.
Is he from Namibia?
No, he's from Harare, Zimbabwe.
Oh, he's from Zimbabwe, all right.
Of course, you see Zimbabwe have very good boxers. The thing is just that you need to get them on time. You must come prepared. So he's well prepared. If you look, the previous fighter we brought in for Special One was Dodane Ngube.
Yes.
And he put up a great fight. It's a very competitive fight, and he fought the likes of Nakathira, Desert Storm, and of course we gave him to Special One. Special One is 21 years old, very young, and he's Prospect of the Year. He got the awards this year.
All right.
And we're just looking forward to push him so we can see if he's ready for a big league. And because now all the big names are there, and he's calling those big names.
Yes.
So tonight we are expecting firework, and it's gonna be a great fight. He's going to show his skills as always.
Yes.
And of course, we know that he's ready, and we don't want to overlook his opponent. And because in boxing, one punch can change the fight. So that's why you must come ready and you must come prepared.
Right.
So tonight, we have a main event, which is confirmed. The fighters are here. They made their weight. So we're just waiting for tonight. Get your popcorn ready.
Get your popcorn ready. You heard it from the master promoter himself, Mr. Ims Moses of AC Boxing Promotions. Tonight is an absolute cracker. From Ims Moses, that's one jab. From Ashumberi, that's another. Don't miss the fight.
Attention kids, we have some exciting news for you. We are back, and this year we are planning on going big. So listen up. If you are in grade 3, grade 2, grade 1 or pre-primary, we are bringing your free school workbooks to you soon. This is all you need to know about where you can find your books. Books will be available for free in Republican street sale newspapers and all Namibian Sun newspapers. And for all pre-primary kids out there, your books will be delivered to your school in all 14 regions of Namibia. And there's more. Pre-primary books will also be printed in 9 different languages. Check out when your book will be available from the schedule right here. That's not all. Our free online school is there to help you along the way with video lessons and more books to download. You can also follow along on NTV every Monday to Friday from 9:30 to 11:30 for your daily online school lesson. We thank all our sponsors who are helping to build a brighter future for Namibia. Contact us at info@acdtrust.com and follow us on Instagram.